Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Growth Made Easy podcast. My name is Maria Fontana, your favorite business consultant, helping salon professionals globally create more profits with less stress. And guess who I have today as my expert guest? An amazing, amazing stylist, educator, global icon, Mr. Antony Whitaker. Hi, Anthony. Thank you for joining us.
Maria, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a real pleasure to be on your podcast.
I'm honored. So, Antony, you know what? Instead of me telling the world about your magic, I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself and what has, developed in your career in this amazing industry that we belong to.
Okay, well, I've been in the industry now for 40 odd years, which is a long time, to put it mildly. I usually just say 30 plus years because I think you get to a certain number where you should just say 30 plus. But there you go, I've flipped it out. It's 40. I think I started in 1978, and I very quickly developed a real passion for the education side of the industry. I always wanted to know how you did stuff. And originally it was about hairdressing, like the physical side of hairdressing. And I can remember saying to someone right at the beginning of my career, I said to him, I saw him cutting a graduated bob and I was standing behind him and I was watching it and I was like, just in awe of how you do that to hair, how you build up that shape and that graduation, around the occipital bone. And I said to him, how do you do that? And he looked at me and he just shrugged his shoulders and he said, it's feeling. And it was a defining moment in my life where I thought, what a load of rubbish. That is not just feeling, that there's a technique there and I need you to explain to me how to do it. But of course he couldn't. And lots of hairdressers are like that. They can do great hair, but they don't really know how to explain how they do what they do. And I think that was a sort of a defining moment for me of wanting to teach. And, I moved to London as a young hairdresser, and I started at Sassoon. And very quickly when I was at Sassoon, I decided that I wanted to get into their school side of the business because, that expression that people teach what they most need to learn. And I really wanted to, I had to do all my retraining, et cetera, like you do there to qualify to be a stylist. But, I spent a year or so on the floor as a stylist in one of the salons. And then I just wanted to get into the school to teach because not just for giving back, but I really think that it's such a great discipline when you have to teach someone because you have to break down why you do what you do and take all the fluff out of it. And so that you can genuinely help people, you can teach them to learn. And then, of course, over the years, over many years, I then started my own business. I built that up and I started to have the same approach to business building because that's what I now specialize in, helping people with building and developing their businesses. And I think I've taken that same approach. I'm known for being direct and for being, blunt sometimes, but I don't dress it up with fluff. There's no mystery about how to cut hair. You can be taught it, like you can be taught how to bake a cake. There's no mystery how to run a business. You can be taught it just like you can be taught how to, dance the foxtrot or whatever. But of course, just like dancing the foxtrot, some people will bring more feeling to it. So, I'm very much about breaking things down into the nuts and bolts of what you need to do to get good, in our case, at running a hairdressing business or being a good, effective stylist behind the chair.
And you know what? I know you in my vision of you of all the years following you. To me, you're the king of creating roadmaps to success. Like you just help people create those clear roadmaps, be it in the technical space on how to, or in that business space. So tell me a little bit about, I'm sure our audience, we've been through a rough year, and I hate even saying that because I don't want to be negative and feed into the nonsense. But it is a fact. Our industry has been impacted as many industries in the world. Antony, tell us what is one or two of the most pivotal things that you think anyone in our industry, be it if they're new, if they're seasoned, salon owners, all high-level salon professionals globally, the top 2 to 3 things they really need to be focusing on right now, even if things seem like doom and gloom?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the situation that you're in. Okay. So it's very difficult to get a one size fits all. Before you finish the answer, the question, the word humility wanted to come out of my mouth, that the number one thing people, I believe that the biggest names in the world in any area, I think that they have a humility about them. Sometimes when people carry on like a prima donna superstar, it's their wannabes. Do you know what I mean? They're thinking that that's how you have to carry on, whether it's with clients or the media or other people that you're trying to educate and inform. I come from a fairly humble background, and I think that having humility is a good way to be. But I know that you were really addressing that question more as you got to the end of it, about the world that we currently live in. So, COVID is having a big impact on us. There's no point pretending it's not. And, a lot of people out there are hurting, and some of them are even losing their businesses. My heart goes out to all of them. And some of them are successful, or succeeding, I should say, more through luck than having done anything the right way. So, for example, people that have got a salon in, say, downtown Manhattan, they're hurting a lot more because, a lot of people are working from home. They're not coming into the offices, etc. And so, if you're in downtown Manhattan or downtown anywhere, you're more likely to be in trouble because a lot of your, clients are working from home. And they're spending as little time in the big city as what they have to. So certain salons, through no fault of their own, just through geographical location, are doing it tougher than others. And likewise, the flip side of that, certain salons that are in more suburban areas, maybe because those people are working from home, are potentially even benefiting from that. Yeah. So I think that it's difficult to have a one size fits all. But, what I say to salon owners everywhere, no matter what stage of open or closed, lockdown or not you're in, is that communication is everything. And so, I know where I am in the UK, we're in our third lockdown now, in different states, different cities, different countries. They're in and out of lockdown all the time. And one of the things that's happening is when you open up again, are all your clients coming back? Are all your staff coming back? And the answer in a lot of cases is actually no. The clients aren't all coming back and the staff aren't all coming back. And one of the things that they say why they're not going back is that they feel like they've been abandoned. Mm-hmm. They feel like they've been sort of left to their own devices. So, if you own a salon, whether you like it or not, you're a leader. And if you've got people on your team, whether there's 2 or 3 of them or whether there's, 102 of them, your job is to communicate with them and, to take that responsibility of leadership importantly, if you want to have a team to come back. Because if you're not communicating, positive information to them, don't worry, there's plenty of stuff in the media that will be feeding them with a lot of negativity. So you need to make sure that you take that role of leadership with your team, to be communicating with them, to be having Zoom meetings with them, to be doing as a group, and maybe to be doing sort of one-to-one phone calls or text messages or whatever, just to keep people on track. And I think that is really important. And, as a salon owner, you also need to bear in mind that not everyone on your team is created equal, meaning that, you might have people on your team that are straight out of beauty school, they're 19 or 20, they're living away from home, they're in a small studio apartment, they've got no money, they don't have a husband, wife, or family network around them. And so they're fending for themselves in a very tough time, whereas someone else on your team, but they might be in a stable relationship. They might be have a financial nest egg. They might have a partner who is also financially successful. And so for them, the pressure is completely different. So, communication is essential, and keeping your team close to you and engaging with them on a regular basis. And on the same vein, I think that applies to your clients. If you expect your clients to come back, you want them to know that you're thinking about them. So whether that is through your social media accounts or email, or even, for some of them, because that some of your clients, that it's that widow who's 65, who doesn't have any children, or does, but they live interstate, and now her partner's died and she's living at home by herself. And you know what I mean? Like, you can be that person that picks up the phone and says, hi, just checking in to make sure you're all right. And we've all got clients like that. You know, every single hairdresser listening to this can think of half a dozen people that probably fit that brief. So, you know, whether it's a phone call as a one-to-one thing, whether it's a text message, whether it's just more of a communal thing on your social media platforms, I think letting your clients know that you're there, that you're thinking about them, that you can't wait to greet them back into the salon, all those things are really important for, you know, when your business is back open, if it was closed, you know, to keep that momentum and to get back into the rebuilding phase.
I agree with you. I love those ideas. I love that you are teaching also, I think, compassion and having compassion and grace for ourselves, our teams, and our clients. One of the most powerful, also a quick strategy with you, I love snail mail. I love sending out little handwritten notes. You know, when we were on lockdown, again, or that phone call, going back to old school. I love all the tech, but sometimes just that little connection, right?
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And I think our stylists globally have to think about, what can I do? How can I support these people as I'm supporting myself?
Yeah.
So Antony, let me ask you a question. In your own career, what would be the one most pivotal thing that you've done that has launched your career? Because let's be honest, when you're in business this long, stuff happens. Maybe it hasn't been the pandemic, but you've been through stuff. You've been through change. You've been through life happens, as it does to most of us. I want the biggest takeaway for everyone to have from you, from your amazing, just your skills, your experience, your survival. What is that one thing that you would say across the board everyone needs to implement into their lives daily if they really want longevity in their business? That it's, you know, forget about this like quick win all the time and what it really takes to be in business as long as
I thought of one thing straight away. And the more you talked, then the more it seemed like the right thing to say, because sometimes what comes to the surface straight away is the right thing to say, and to trust your intuition. And the more you were talking, the more I thought, yeah, I'll trust that intuition. That is the one thing. And, you know, I don't have salons anymore, but I left London in 1990 and I moved to Australia. And I lived there for 14 years before I moved back to London in 2004. But in those 14 years where I was in Australia, I had my own salons and I had a school. And there was a particular day, and, you know, my salons weren't perfect. Anyone who says their salons are perfect will lie about other things as well. And I had problems like everybody else. And I certainly had a one particular day or one particular period of time where I was really down. I think I'd had a staff walkout. I'd got remarried and I'd been on honeymoon and I'd been away for 3 weeks. I'd never taken 3 weeks out of my business. And the day I came back, the very day I came back, 8 people resigned and moved about 300 meters away, 300 yards away to open up their own salon together. And they'd been planning it for months, you know, not just the 3 weeks that I'd been away. And it really hurt, obviously. I mean, I had a reasonable sized business, but when 8 people go, I mean, at the time, I think I had 38 odd team members, and the 8 people that left, they were heavy hitters. And so it really impacted on my business. And it did send me into a little bit of a tailspin. And that can be hard to get out of. And I can remember, you know, I was in Sydney at the time, and that's where my salons were. And I had a friend of mine who was English, but he was living in New York at the time. And we would keep in touch on a regular basis. And you know, one day he rang me out of the blue, and he caught me in a bad headspace. And he said to me, you know, what's wrong with you? And I said, and I just poured it all out to him. And I said, you know, this has happened and that's happened. And, you know, it was just all this negativity. All this woe is me. And you're allowed to be like that, okay, for a bit, but you can't let it define you. And anyway, he said to me, he said, where are you? And I said, I'm just standing outside the front of the salon. And he said, okay. He said, I can remember the day that you called me when you got your first salon. And he said, you called me and you were standing outside the front of your first salon, and you were and you didn't have the keys. You couldn't get in. It was a derelict shop that I'd taken over. And he said, and you were so excited and you were telling me all about the vision that you had for your business. And it was so powerful. And he said, you're standing outside the front of your salon now. It wasn't the same salon. It was another one. Okay. He said, turn around and tell me, what do you see? And I'm looking in the window of the salon. I'm out in the street. And again, I went straight to the negative, about what I could see, that, my team had left, or some of them had left, and, yada, yada, yada. And he said, look, what you've got to do is you've got to pick yourself up by the scruff of the neck. You got to dust yourself off. You got to look through that window, and you got to decide what sort of business that you want going forward. And it was a defining moment. And what that was all about, and what the real takeaway is it's so important to have a vision for what you want your business to be like. And with my first business, when I was, before I'd even opened it, and I was standing outside looking in the window of a derelict shop, I could see what that business was going to be like aesthetically, in terms of the decor and all that. And as hairdressers, we're pretty good at that. But we're not very good at seeing and imagining the culture of how that business is going to run. And that usually comes and slaps us on the back of the head pretty quick, because, we sort of think that everyone's going to follow us and follow our dream and our vision and all fall into place nicely behind us. But that doesn't happen unless you design the culture of your business, just like you need to design the decor of your business. And, when he was giving me this little pep talk, it was that moment of pick yourself up, dust yourself off, redefine what sort of business you want from a cultural perspective, not from a, this is the color I want that wall and this is what my logo is going to look like, but what sort of culture do you want your business to have? And get back in there and make it happen. And it was that's what it was. It was, for me, I had to redefine my vision for the business. What sort of business did I want to have? What sort of people did I want to employ? And what was the culture of that business going to be like? And for me, that was like a significant, defining moment in my, journey as a business owner. And it worked.
I agree. I've been through that myself. And I think, ultimately your message is, don't be afraid to reimagine and reinvent yourself.
Totally.
Based on whatever's happening around you. Because if you could do it once, you could do it twice, and we're always improving, correct? There's no limitations. You have to look on the other side. So I think this was like an amazing conversation. Before we leave, I just wanted to cover one more thing with you. I know you always talk about being flexible, reinventing yourself, being able to change up things. Tell me just a little bit about that, because I know you're known for this, and I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, it's so important to you use the words, I think you said reinvent, reimagine, recovery, reboot, redefine. That's where I believe we're all at this point in time. And put it this way, if you're not doing it, it's happening to you. And so it's about, you need to take control of it, because, it's always happening to you. The world is always moving, but my God, has it moved in the last 12 months. So you need to reimagine, redefine, reignite, because that's all part of the recovery. And it's so easy for all of us to get stuck in a particular way of doing things, because it might be working and it feels safe. And so it's so easy for us to not, step outside of our comfort zone and try new things. But that's what you have to do, because if you don't do it, you're standing still, but you're not really standing still, because everyone else is moving forward. So in effect, you're moving backwards. So, don't be afraid to reinvent, to redefine who you are. I mean, think of it like, musicians are often really good at this. If you look at, first name that comes to mind is Madonna, over the last 20 years, or David Bowie, or, think of any great musician, Bruce Springsteen or whatever, for a Jersey boy, that, they reinvent themselves. They redefine who they are. And, some of them, and if you don't, then you get stuck and you become, yesterday's news. And you won't always get it right. And that's okay. You try things, some things work, some things don't work. You learn from what didn't work, you tweak it, you redefine it, and you go again. And that's the nature of it. And when things don't work, you do what I was told to do: stand up, dust yourself off, and get back in there, and go another round, so to speak. But you can't stand still. You have to innovate, If you don't innovate, you're finished. I often use in my seminars the analogy of the iPhone. And I talk about how every September, iPhone do a new launch, or Apple do a new launch, and they bring out the new model of iPhone. And every iPhone is faster, and it's got stronger glass, and it's more waterproof, and it's got a better camera, and it's got better battery life, and yada, yada, yada. And I often say to a hairdressing audience, how would you be if you had to present yourself every September for, hey, this is the new me. This version of me, the 2021 version of me, can do this and this and this that I couldn't do in 2020. How would you be like that? And I think that's a great way to sort of imagine yourself, that you've got to keep growing. You've got to keep going, okay, how can I get better at my digital skills, my communication skills, my social media skills? How can I get better with my consultations? How can I get better with, my color work, or my bridal work, or my, my barbering, or whatever? You've always got to be growing and looking at, patting yourself on the back and saying, well done. But you've also got to be saying, okay, what do I need to do to stay current and stay on the cutting edge? And the answer to that is always education.
Yes. And I'm going to, honor you on this one too. I think it's really important. And I believe it's super important that everyone, if you don't have to do it alone. There's amazing mentors. There's mentors in the technical space, in the business space, like you and I. There's, mindset work, anything you need support with. I believe in mentoring. So reach out for help, right? Don't stay in that limited headspace of fear. If you don't know how to do something, I hire someone who's been there before me, and you follow their few steps ahead of you. They can help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It is so, so important.
Exactly. And in this day and age, with the technology we all have available, there is no excuse, because here you are in New Jersey, here I am, in London, and you're talking to each other. I mean, you've got Google, you've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. There is every bit of information that has ever been, created in this world is in the palm of your hand, in the form of your smartphone. You just have to go looking for it. There's plenty out there. There's plenty of support and plenty of knowledge out there, and a lot of it's free. Some of it isn't. Obviously, there's a lot of courses and books and programs that people do that you pay for, but that's okay. But there's also a lot of stuff out there that is complimentary. So that there's no excuse really not to learn and to grow as an individual and as a professional.
Yes. So I wanted to thank you, Antony, so much for joining me today. What we talked about today was basically growth strategies, technical, mindset, personal development, business strategy. These are all things everyone needs, and you are the king at helping people implement this. For our audience, I want to thank every single one of you just as much as I'm thanking Antony. You know why? You showed up, you're listening to us, and that is all a part of growing your business and trying to get to that next level like we were just talking about. So follow the links below in description, like and subscribe. If you want to connect with Mr. Whitaker, everything's in the description. Reach out to him, follow him on Instagram. Everything will be in the description. And we are looking forward to connecting with you on a one-on-one basis. And we're really looking forward to helping you the next year, right, Antony? We're here for everyone.
Without a doubt. It's an amazing community. The hairdressing industry is an amazing industry, and you can't be shy. You've just got to get out there and connect with people. So, Maria, thank you so much for having me on your show and introducing me to your audience. And anyone who wants to connect with me, I'm at Grow My Salon Business. I know Maria said the links will be in the show notes. So, don't be a stranger. Come and say hi.
Yep. And you can follow us, find us both on Instagram and just connect with us one-on-one if you want to chat. We're here for you. Antony, have an awesome, awesome day. It's been a true honor speaking with you. You're amazing and you're groundbreaking and you have great energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria.